Good morning. Hello, hello. Good morning, Facebook friends. Good morning, Facebook family. How are you this morning? So excited to be with you this morning. Hoping y'all can see me. If you've ever gone live, you know kind of this weird place that I'm in right now of, am I live? Do they see me? Can they, like, you just don't know. It's so weird. How long it takes to connect and it shows live, but then are you really live? And when I go back and watch the videos, there is definitely some delay going on. So it's really interesting. And I haven't quite figured out or seen anybody else that has kind of figured out how to navigate this very gracefully. So here we are. We're going to kind of clump through it and, do what we got to do. So let's start here. And action. Good morning, hello, and welcome to my Thursday morning live. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany Huckelman, and I'm the founder of Lone Orange, where we help solopreneurs grow their businesses beyond themselves. And I'm super excited about this topic today because we are busting a myth. We're busting the myth that solopreneurs have to do everything themselves. That by definition, if I'm a solopreneur, that means that I have to do all the things. Now, so here's the definition that I work under. A solopreneur is the one who is solely responsible for the operations of the business. The buck stops with you, essentially. But that doesn't mean that you can't get help. My definition of solopreneur is that you can still have a team of people, not employees. I think to me that's the distinction. It's not employees. But you can have other contractors, you can have other virtual assistants, you can have other experts helping you do some of your business for you and with you, but you are still ultimately responsible. So that's kind of the definition I work under. So that's the definition of a solopreneur, somebody who just doesn't have the employees, but they have full responsibility for their business, but they have the team. So that may sound exciting, but it could also sound terrifying. When I started my business, I absolutely did not want to have anyone in my team. I wanted to do all the things myself. At that point, I had come from managing several people and I hated it. And so I went into my business saying, I don't want to manage anybody. I don't want to have to deal with the headache. I don't want to deal with them doing things incorrectly. I don't want to deal with me having to redo their work. I don't want to deal with them not following directions. I don't want to deal with having to reprimand them. Like all the things that come with managing employees, I just didn't want. So I thought the solution was I'm not going to have anybody. I'm just going to do it all. So that's what I did for a good year. And then it got to the point where I realized, wow, I can't do as much as I thought I could. I had a capacity limit. There's only so much energy and time in the day that I had to get stuff done. And it wasn't enough to fully run the business and take it to grow it to where I wanted it to be. I got into business to help people and I wanted to be able to grow that and help more and more people. And I couldn't do that without increasing that capacity. So I remember my first coach told me, you need to start delegating. And I said, okay, that sounds great. But pulling my hair out, like I really had no idea. I actually went back and found some of my notes from my first coaching session or from my first coach and working with her. And I wrote in there, I'm supposed to delegate. I get it. Like that makes sense. Get the help. Get people who are more expert in some areas than I, who can do it faster than I. Like I got that part, but I had no clue where to start or what I could even delegate. I felt like I needed to do it all. I felt like I needed to be the one that did everything because I knew how to do it right, or my clients would expect to work with me, or they wouldn't want to work with somebody else, or they're not paying me to work with someone else. All of these thoughts and so many more were going through my head that were just, now I can look back and go, that were bunk. Um, And so I now, fast forward 10 plus years, I now have a team of people that I trust, of people I can delegate to, of people that I can look to help me with the tasks that aren't my best tasks to be doing. The fact is that when you're running a business, there are a lot of different things that every business needs. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a fact that you can't do them all really well because it's different parts of your brain, it's different skills, it's different strengths. So recognizing that, you can learn a lot of it, you can get proficient at a lot of it, but really being expert and really doing it really well, it's not possible. So there's going to come a point, if you're a solopreneur now, if you're just starting out, or even if you've been in business for a little while, there's going to come a point where you have to really step back and recognize that there are some things in your business that you need help with. And again, if you're like me, like I could feel that kind of tightening in my chest, and I can remember back that 10 years ago, I can't do it. Don't make me do it. Kind of curling up on the corner. So if you're feeling that, it's okay. I gotcha. So I want to, first of all, I'm going to put in the link below. I put together a guide for you. If you don't know where to start, the guide is called The 3 Things Every Solopreneur Needs to Hand Off Now. The 3 easy things every solopreneur needs to hand off now. So if you really have no idea where to start, these are 3 easy things that you can just delegate, that you can get off your plate. It's not necessarily to a person. There are ways to delegate and get things off your plate. That doesn't require you to hire someone. So grab that guide. I have to do this afterwards because I have to go back and copy it. I don't know if you know that, but apparently Facebook doesn't like you to send, doesn't like you to put in the description links that send you off Facebook. So I'm going to put in the comments. So I'll put that in as soon as I get off here. But grab that guide if you don't know where to go, if you don't know where to start. I was thinking about my journey and how I started. And the very first thing, it seems so silly, but it was kind of a gigantic leap for me. The very first thing that my coach had me do was to call a courier to run an errand for me. I had to get something to someone else, and I was fully prepared to do it. I thought I should do it. I thought I needed to do it. Why waste? Why have somebody else do it? Why spend that money? But it would have taken me a good hour to get there and back. And so she convinced me that it would be a time saver, a brain power saver, to just hire a courier. And I'd never done that before. So I did it, and it felt so good when I handed that off and I knew that I was done with that task, that that person was going to have it in 20 to 30 minutes. I didn't have to do it, and I could go back and do other work. And it didn't cost me that much money. So that little baby step was a huge step for me, because what's the saying? One small step for man, a giant leap for mankind. That's kind of how it felt. Like it was a little bitty step, but it felt like a gigantic leap because it got me into the mindset of, okay, I can have other people can help me. I can pay for this. It can leverage other people's time and value my time. The next thing I did was I was doing, at that point, I was processing business cards. I was taking people, you know how you get the stacks of business cards when you're out networking in person. And I would like type them into people's databases for them. Well, that took a lot of time. And I ended up finding a company that could scan them and do them a lot quicker. So my coach convinced me to send away just to practice, just because I was all worried, well, my clients are expecting me to do it, and what if it's imperfect, and all these things. She said, just in a small stack, have them do it, and see what it's like. Oh my gosh, what a game changer. That saved me several hours and tedious work that I didn't want to be doing and I wasn't necessarily great at, and it's not where I should have been spending my time. It wasn't the greatest moneymaker for me, it wasn't the greatest use of my talents. So having that was a huge leap for me. Then I started looking at other things. Accounting was another big easy thing for me. um, to think about, because I was spending probably 5 to 10 hours, maybe let's 5 to 8 hours a month doing all that. I could do it. I was fine doing it. Um, but I realized getting that off my plate was super helpful. Now, I will say that one of the things I did with my accounting is that I just delegated parts of it. My invoicing, I didn't have a good system for it until not recently, actually. Um, and so I didn't delegate that right away. So I kind of pieced it out. So, the AR, the accounts receivable, the invoicing, the reconciling, that was a big thing to get off my plate. The reconciling and reporting. And yes, I used QuickBooks. I had the software, but to have somebody else sit down and reconcile that for me, and because I would inevitably end up off, and so then I'd have to go back and do it again. It was just such a pain in the patootie. So um, that was another great thing. So then I kept you can kind of see how I kind of kept getting bigger and bigger. Then I got into client work, and I started just client work that the client, it wasn't client facing. It was behind the scenes. I could instruct, I could monitor, I could quality control check, and that way nobody had to know that I had a team. And that's the way I operated for quite a while. Like, I felt like I had to be the front of the business and nobody had to know, because I thought they wouldn't want to work with me. So silly. Um, because now, I mean, I've got clients who were with me way back in the day, and they have no problem working with my team. They love my team. They think my team is just as great as me, and they get responses faster because of my team. So it's a win-win all the way around. Um, then I was able to get a virtual assistant, and they were able to help me with things like email management and calendar management and client care and project management. Those are all things we worked into. It wasn't, I feel like it wasn't a first big step. It wasn't the first step of the person to hire for me, but and and but it was a really helpful step, because again, I wasn't spending so much time in my inbox sorting things out and figuring out how to respond to people. Like, so all of this we figured out systems for, and I found good people that I could trust, that I could work well with. I worked in systems so that they knew what I expected of them, and that kept my quality standards high, so that my clients were getting quality work. I also went through a lot of people who didn't stay because they didn't necessarily fit, and that's okay too. Um, and then I started being able to actually grow an agency where I had other designers and website people and copywriters. Website and copyright is not something I do personally at all. Social media, I don't do any of that personally at all. I have other people to help me who are the experts in those areas, and that's how I can help my clients now. So that's a little bit about my journey into the delegating world, but it really started with something as small as hiring a courier to do an errand that I really didn't need to do. So, where can you start delegating? Is it time for you to start delegating? Are you at a place in your business where you're working so much that you can't get it all done, and it is time? It's time to start looking at ways to get things off your plate. That's why I want you to grab this free guide. 3 things, just 3 easy things that every solopreneur needs to get off their plate right now, that needs to hand them off. All right. So grab that guide and get started with those things. And then if you're looking for more help with delegation, hopefully by the end of the week, certainly by the beginning of next week, I will have the Delegate It challenge up and ready for you to register for. That's going to be in January. If this is going to be a goal for you for 2022 to delegate, we're going to figure out exactly what you need to delegate, how to do it, and make a plan. All right, but for right now, just grab the 3 things. Get started with that. It's kind of a good baby step for you. Get those things off your plate and get the help that you need so that you can focus on what you are amazing at, because that's what you're in business for. All right, my friends, it has been so good to be with you. If you have liked this video, please share it. Share it and tag friends in it who you also know who are in business and maybe need to get some help to start delegating. Because sharing this is the greatest thing that you can do for other people to help them grow their businesses too. All right, friends, I will see you next Thursday. And until then, don't forget to grab that free guide and have a stellar week. Bye.